Hey guys, it's and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about shoreline spawns and early engagements you might see with the spawns you guys get. So I'm basically going to walk around, kind of walk to every spawn, show you guys what the spawn looks like, and kind of point you in the directions that you're most likely to see people, and the things you're most likely to be first to get to. With that, let's get into it. So right now, we're spawning for the east side of the resort, down at the water. This is the farthest away spawn for the east side. Depending on where you want to go from here, if you come out this way, you have the options of going down there to gas, and pier, which you can be first to. Or if you want to make your way to the resort, power's up that way. Resort's up this way. Now, when you come up this way, first likely action of engagement, if you run up this hill and take the top of presume the top of this hill. You want to scan over this pier as there spawns over right about there on the other side of the hills on the road. And if they were to decide to jump up on that road and walk this way to come down to the pier for whatever reason, you would be right here and you'd see them first. Now that being said, you want to scan over towards this direction to the left and watch out for people who spawn over here and are pushing up. If you run this way, there's a good chance if right off spawn you run up to this spot and they run down towards you that you see them right around here, these rocks. Depending on, everything will depend on your guys' stamina and strength compared to your opponents as well, their intentions. You want to kind of scout this whole entire horizon right here in these rocks. You don't see anything, good chance you're clear. Start moving your way up and work your way up to the resort. We're going to go over to here. We spawn. Alright, next spawn. Right here around this bus. You'll spawn right here. We're generally facing this way away from everything. Something I always do is I always run this way and jump over here like this. I realize that I actually have to go that way. So for here, you're not really first to anything. You're kind of just away from everybody. Away from every important thing. So if you spawn here and you turn around, you come up this way. A thing to keep in mind that there is a spawn straight down this road or way down there at the Road of Customs right there. You can see pretty quickly. And it hit hell of a shot to take them out early, so I wouldn't suggest shooting right away, but checking in. You can engage people here if they are faster than you and you spawn late. And those guys over there rush over this way. Come up here, you gotta be careful of all this area in front of you. If you're headed to the resort, head right here. And the major things you want to check out. When you get up here, you want to be wary of this hill. Up here. All up in there. It's a pretty common place for people to get to early. You want to keep an eye on this hill and make sure there's nobody up top of that looking back down at you guys. And then right here. Make sure there's nobody there along these walls. So if you deem that wall to be clear and the hill to be clear, I would suggest you guys make your way up to this hill. Again, keep periodically checking this wall, check for bushes. Get control of this hill, as this is a quest spot where you can place for your, I want to say, Signal Jammer Part 1, 2, one of those quests. Alright, then we get here on top of this hill, and then you do have yourself another spawn right there by the rock passage. Which of those people were to decide to want to come this way for that quest or go to weather or push back to pier for whatever reason, very possible that you'll engage them anywhere in these open fields / on top of this hill. Now we're gonna go back to the Road of Customs spawn. Alright, so back here is the Road of Customs spawn that we just talked about a minute ago. Again, down there's that other spawn to the pier. So when you spawn here, come out here. If your goal is to head down towards the water, gas, and all that stuff, you can just head down this road. Keep your eye, your biggest and only real concern is probably going to be right up here in front of you. Generally, somebody else spawns this way, unless, like I said, they have the same goals as you. They're not going to be in your path, your direct path to your locations you're looking for. So if you spawn here and you want to make your way to the resort, just follow this fence. Again, keep your eye up here on these hills. Things you want to be prepared for. Two major things. This hill right here. If you spawn in and head straight this way, the people back in that spawn shouldn't catch up to you, so you're kind of out of their view. And then right in front of you here, there's a spawn right up here. You want to be careful, people hiding in bushes right here. Just kind of holding down the spawn where they spawn, waiting for people to rotate to them. I believe the spawn is about in this area right here. We're about right here. The spawn is. So again, people will just, they'll spawn here and they'll sit in these bushes and just wait for people rotating from those spawns deep to come to the resort. You want to be cautious of those things. Right, we'll make our way up to the next spawn, which is Rock Passage. Not Rock Passage, sorry. The Rock Arch. Alright. Next spawn's here, in this area. This gives you a lot of, it's a pretty decent spawn because it gives you a lot of options. You can get the weather station quick, you can get the power quick, which is really nice if you need to go to those locations for quest. You have your tower over in that direction, I believe. Yeah, right there for your other jammer. And you're relatively close to the resort. You're still not first spawn for the resort, but you're certainly second. So if you want to go to the resort, come up this way. If you want to go power, weather right there, power that way. Off to your left of spawn. You want to be careful of coming up over this hills. So if I ran the wrong way, so we're going to go back and redo that because I went the wrong direction. Alright, so from Rock Passage again, going this way, like I said, you got weather station up here behind you, you got power over to your left. You want to come up around here to the right, come this way, and your most likely engagement for your first one off the rip is going to be when you come over this hill. There is a spawn back in this corner somewhere, the base of what I call Grandma's house. We'll go over that in a second here. You got your resort right up there. You can work your way this direction. Alright, so when you get right here about this hill, if you're quick enough and the other team is slow enough, you'll catch them either wandering right here or getting ready to climb up these rocks if that's their goal. Always possible they're working their way back towards you again. Like, that's one thing you always want to be careful of all these spawns, especially the farther back you are, that the people aren't working towards you as you're working towards the resort if that's your goal. Because you'll engage them even quicker than you expect. Alright, so this is your next spawn, which is the base of the Grandma's house, which is what I call it. And this is one of your closest east resort spawns right here. There's two spawns that are relatively close to the east resort that you're going to, if both people spawn at both those spawns and you're going for east resort, you're going to have to fight for you guys to get inside. So up there is Grandma's house. We'll keep this in mind that you want to come, you have two ways to go up to these rocks. You can go right and cut up the left right there, which once I get to the next spawn, I'll explain to you what happens when you do that. So I'm going to come up these rocks here. Here. So this is generally my favorite spawn right down there, because it gives you the option to get here and you can go right or left. You can go heli side or admin side into east. So now the corner spawn that's back in that corner can pretty much get right up there right after you get right here. So you're gonna be right about here, and if you hold right like while you run around this thing and hold right and look, there's a good chance that if you guys are both on the same page, that you'll see them somewhere like right on this fence, like these closest bars, this bush right here pushing up towards you. Because you're gonna have to engage right here pretty much. This is the most common spot I engage people when I have that spawn and they have that spawn, is this general vicinity. It's possible they run along outside the fence, go straight to admin. It's possible they go for the UAV, you know. Who really knows exactly what they're gonna be doing? But alright, so now you're in east. If you're the first spawn in east, another close engagement thing you're gonna do. I mean, depending what your keys you have, I have a whole guide in the keys that I use, but I use this 110. Generally, as soon as I hit 110, I'm bound to hear people coming. The spawn's close enough behind you that, like, so I'm loot these rooms, and then you'll generally hear footsteps coming over those sills. You want to listen for if they're coming from the left side or right side, and you want to keep yourself close to their entrances. You can shoot them if they walk in here, or if they go in the windows. Don't jump, because they'll give away your location a lot easier. But walk up these bags like this and hold angles. And you can pop them as they try to run in. It's about this area. So this is about where the last spawn is for the east wing. This again is the one I talked about where you're also pretty much equal with the other east wing spawn. So if you're rushing east wing, you guys are probably going to engage each other before you actually enter, unless they want to run the helicopter side. Then you guys are pretty much able to get inside at the same time and engage right away inside. Another thing to keep in mind, if you spawn there, you're relatively close to the UAV quest. You can just run straight that way. Go over the little river there, over the bridge, past the sniper scav, and hit the UAV spawn. But there is a west spawn that's going to be close to that as well, which we will cover here in a moment. So I was talking about that left path. Right here's where that left path comes up when you spawn over there. So when you're here, it's not impossible for you to run up this hill and there'd be people like coming up this hill on you, like right here. You'll hear them. So it's not impossible to engage somebody right there to your left. Now when you come up here, it gives you the option to go admin, or you can go back in east, and like I said, there's the wall, the fence. You want to be looking along this wall and the fence through the bushes, trying to get, you know, try to be the one that gets the first eye on your opponent. Alright, now we're gonna head to the west spawns. And we'll start with the far tunnel spawn, and we'll work all the way up to the close to west end spawn. Alright, and we have finally made it to the first west spawn. Now this one is your farthest away from the resort, and you're pretty much most isolated as you're in a corner. You come up here, the closest thing you are to is, I believe, this ambulance right here is for one of the marking quests you gotta do in here. And then as well, there is a quest for Peacekeeper where you gotta bury a multi-tool and an SVD somewhere along the shoreline here. I don't remember exact location, but I believe you'll be first for that as well. Now, head to the swamp is off to your left, I guess. There are some quests that way you might want to need to do. So head to the resort. You want to head up this way. Now when you get up to here, you have the possibility of seeing people if you come back, if you double back this way a little bit, look down this way, you have a possible of seeing people here as there spawns back there. And then you get your cottages up there, which there's now also another spawn up at the cottage. So those, you got a lot of chance for early engagements on this west side right here. And Sanitar spawns in the cottages, so there's always the possibility you're going to be fighting him early. So, I mean, here you got a lot to pay attention to. You want to keep your eyes and ears open at all times. You can see people across those hills, all depending on the path people choose to take. The next spawn you're going to have is around in this area. I forget the exact location. Not one that I get a lot, but it happens. You spawn back here by these fences. You can push up and out. Like I said, so you choose to run up that way and run towards that hill, you can likely engage that guy really early if somebody spawned there. Go out this way now. I usually come out and go this way, as I'm always headed to the resort, so I take the straight path up this way to the resort, and I try to stay to the left to avoid the cottage. I'd like to avoid fighting the Sanitar early if I can do so. Especially since it's really hard to kill in the cottages, and he makes a lot of noise, and attracts a lot of opportunity for people to third party you early game. The next spawn you can have is right about here. This spawn is close to swamp. I mean, you're kind of first to swamp, as there's another spawn over there that's also at the edge of swamp. That's your first early west spawn. Now, like I said, for here, you're close to some of these buildings you need to hit for quests, but you're going to be in the open of a lot of peaks. People spawn right to your right and to your left. It can be very close to you. It can easily see you while you're trying to hit these quests. So if you spawn here and you have these quests, my solution, or suggestion I should say, is lay low. Get back, get on the wall. If you're just trying to do quests, hide in a bush, you know, do whatever you gotta do to stay alive. Because you're right where you need to be, but you're also in a very hot, open location. You want to go to the resort. I suggest coming around this way. It's a little bit slower, but I feel like it's generally safer. While I feel like that way's faster, you can cut right through there and go up that way, but you're more open and exposed to being shot at. Now here in this area, this is your closest to west of the resort spawn. This is the best one you can get for west side, in my opinion, if you're trying to be the first one there. Now, while again, there's that spawn behind you at the swamp you got to worry about, where we just came from. As long as if you're headed to the resort, the UAV, you're not going to see anybody, you know, you're not going to see anybody in front of you. Unless some kind of weird phenomenon happens, you will get there safely first. However, if you come up here and you have a long range scope and stuff, you can scout all these edges and stuff and get eyes on people. It is possible, if you have low stam and strength and endurance, and somebody has really high strength and endurance, that you'll run up, engage them higher up there, but we'll go over that once we get close to the resort. Another thing to keep in mind, though, that not only for when you're spawning here, just to be cautious of, but when you're spawning behind and you're trying to push up behind this way, or anytime you're anywhere in this area and you're trying to get information on your opponents, it is pretty common for a scav to spawn right off the rip in this area. So if somebody's pushing up this way, they're likely going to have to engage this scav if it's here. It's not always here, but it's here a lot. So if you hear shots, it kind of indicate, you know, you got people in the spawn making their way towards the resort. There's the UAVs up this way too, so if you have the UAV quest, you can get first to there. And then there's also going to be an early scav spawn up this way, post resort again, which now these guys can be avoided by the person traveling to the resort, so they're not necessarily going to be triggered, but it's possible that you will see them. They can spawn wander over here, and they will wander up around this truck right here. Now, like I was saying, if you're headed to the resort and you have low strength and endurance and your opponent an officer spawn has high, if you push across and come up on that hill, you should be able to see them down to your right. Or it's possible, again, if you're a little slow and they're a little bit faster than you, that you can meet them up on these rocks. So when you get to this area, you know, guns up, be prepared, listening, everything everything you can do to try to give yourself the best engagement. Like, keep looking down that way, look this way. And then with that being said, so this is the first spawn from the west side to the west resort technically. However, if the close east spawn guys decide they want to, they can beat you into west first. If they just skip through east and come straight through and from the west, they will be able to be in there before you will be able to be. I don't see that happen almost ever, but it can, so you should be aware of that. As well as scavs spawn early at the bus station here. So when you get close to these rocks and you start hearing shots popping off down there in this area, that's an indicator somebody's pushing up from this bus station and getting shot at by scavs and or shooting the scavs. So, you know, put your guard up. If you want, you can get in the west and hold the jump in, or you can immediately peek over this hill and see if you can get the first shots on them when they're already in the middle of engaging. So another spawn you can have, again, I don't remember, this one is, I don't remember the exact location of, as this isn't one I get a whole lot either, but you believe it's somewhere right around this area. You might be a little bit closer to that fence, a little bit closer down this way. But you spawn in this general area, allowing you to be kind of in the middle again to everything. You know, if you push back towards the water, you can engage you guys right there. People can spawn in the village, back in that corner behind you, back there, and over there. So you're going to be surrounded by a lot. So generally when I spawn here, this is my least favorite west spawn. Well, this is the second closest to the west building you can get, and if nobody spawns there, you can get the west building first. So it has its ups, but it puts you in a tricky spot right at the rip. As you're close to this resort, and getting away from Santarfis here is not an easy task. So you're almost forced to fight him, or pray and run and hope he doesn't melt you while you're running away. Follow up along these lines, and again, like I said, people, if you spawn back there and you want to rush towards the town, likely to see a really quick engagement in the first minute, along with the shore over there. You come up this way though, however, you're gonna have these scavs. There's gonna be scavs here, almost guaranteed, whether there's Santar or not. So you gotta kind of make that judgment. Try not to peek them and aggro them. However, if you have to shoot any normal scavs, your location will be known and people will know you're here. Especially, I mean, if you're suppressed and they don't get the shot off, you might be okay. But if they shoot, you're likely to be known. So you come up this way. You want to go to the resort. If you want to go power from here, you can go off that direction. Gas, down that way. Come up this way to the resort. Now, if you're the one with the higher stam and strength, and your opponent just spawns to close west spawn is super lower, it's possible for you to see them up on that hill, that ridge right there. Here. Or if they, you know, if they were slow, just spawn in, waiting for everybody to spawn in, or just AFK, or any kind of reason they were behind. So there's a lot of variables in this game, which are kind of frustrating. Because, you know, why you should be first or second, or like engaging people in certain spots. Just if they just did something weird, it might mess up everything that you're used to. But again, as I said, you come up here, you might catch them up to me. You might hear them up on these rocks ahead of you when you're here. You might go, I hear footsteps. Like I said, so you get up near here, be wary of all this crap. There's a bus station. Try to avoid those guys aggroing you and getting shot. Just like I said, that's, you know, a giveaway for this guy to let him know that you're here. Or even if he's right there and he's like, say this person over here has this first spawn and he's now in here. It doesn't have the best hearing, so he doesn't hear you running up that hill and hitting bushes. He will, however, hear the shots of the scavs, and that should be his indicator that you're coming up this hill. Alright, guys, and with that, that should be, you know, while I will say there's possibilities for whole new things to happen to you, again, giving on a billion possible circumstances, those spawns with, you know, those locations are probably going to be your most likely sources for early engagements. I'm trying to record a bunch of fights that I have from all those locations, but again, I got to make those fights happen and get the clips, even if I live or die, just so you guys can kind of see like where exactly those people would be with a little more detail. I will release that video as like a second update to this video. So yeah, and if there's any kind of like changes on Shoreline with spawns and stuff, I will collect all that information and re-upload that as well. So with that being said, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, happy raiding.